Mm, mm, mm. Testing your speakers. Hey, if you can hear me, put a one down. And if you can hear me again, put a two down. I guess you can hear me. This is the Solomon Project. I'm your host, Richard Burns. This is where we discovered, if you haven't discovered it yet, this is where you discover that it's not how much you make, it's how much you keep that counts. Whoa, that's creepy. All right. Yeah, it's not for everyone. Trucking is not for everyone. When I when I when I went to trucking school, when I went to trucking school, my instructor said that very thing. I couldn't understand. What do you mean trucking is not for everyone? You just get up in here and learn how to drive a truck. Not that easy. It's not cut and dry like that. And I realized that when I bumped into a classmate at the first location I got a job as a truck driver. Prior to being a truck driver, I still made a living driving. I started in 1986 or 85. 1985. That's when I started. I started driving a yellow cab in 1985. So I was making a living driving in the hectic driving environment that New York City provided. And yeah, I got a lot of stories from when I was a yellow cab driver, but I'm not going to tap into that today. Maybe another day. But I definitely drove like a maniac. I drove like a maniac. I was held up at gunpoint 3 times. So when I went to trucking school and my instructor told me it's for everybody. Not everybody can become it. I had a hard time understanding that. Throughout the years, I have to agree, it's not for everyone. As a truck driver, you are a professional, or at least in a court of law, that's how they identify you as a professional. Being considered a professional in sports is a big deal. See, if anything were to happen to me, and besides me getting held up at gunpoint, I never got into any accidents or anything like that as a cab driver. And if I did wind up in court as a cab driver, I don't think we had that title of professional driver. However, as a truck driver, you have that title when you go to court. You are a professional driver. in a court, that means a lot. Hey, Tara's here. The professor's here. OMG. The professor. All right. Things got a whole lot better all of a sudden because the professor's here. I'm send the link just in case she never comes up, but you never know. Yeah. No, I never experimented with Prime. Never did. I know a few people that are in Prime. Tony, Tony's probably working right now, but I didn't let him know today that I was doing a live. I did a live yesterday, doing one today. This is ad lib though. I'm still kind of experimenting, but he's around. Hopefully he'll get the notification, and if he does, hopefully he'll come in, and then bam, we'll put him up. I made a different selection so that when I do the lives now, there's a verification process. So we ain't going through what we went through before. You remember that? No, I Prime no. I when I started well, when I graduated from the trucking school, I remember listening to people who were visiting the trucking school that had been over the road for like 6 to 8 months, and they came back. And when they came back, they were talking about the fact that they had families and they couldn't be around their families very often. Sometimes the company would leave them out there for 1 or 2 months without them seeing the family. That was that was a terrible experience for them. And in some cases, it was like a deal breaker. Some of these guys would abandon the trucks and just say, "Whatever, forget it, I'm out." I was fortunate enough, and I don't know if I can classify it as fortunate, but an opportunity did pop up for me to drive locally, which is coveted when you first start driving a truck. That's coveted. People want to people want that local job. Most local jobs back when I started required that you have at least 2 years over the road experience. So I'm graduating with none, zero. But this particular company was expanding, Webster Trucking. They were expanding, and as a result of their expansion, they needed drivers urgently. They wanted to keep that contract, that juicy contract that they had. They had a contract with C&S Wholesale Grocer, and they weren't trying to let that thing go. So they were recruiting drivers fresh out of school. I was one of them. So at the time, I lived an hour and a half away from the terminal where I was going to be working out of, which was fine with me. Hour and a half away, I didn't care. I didn't want to be over the road. My son at the time was maybe 2 years old. So I applied. They accepted the application. I started the orientation process. They give you a road test first. So I just passed that road test. Remember, I'm fresh out of the school, so I just passed that road test. And I was so grateful. I was grateful, And yes, I had to drive an hour and a half to get to the terminal, and then I had to drive an hour and a half to get home. So my commute was 3 hours long. When I started, we had what's called paper logs. We don't have this. I don't have my electronic log with me. Otherwise, I would have shown you guys what I meant. Or not. Hopefully this thing doesn't fall. Or I'm trying to go get it. Let me go get it. So is an electronic log. That's an electronic log. This is the get back there. All right. So this is the number of hours that I can work or drive in order to take my first break. I could take a bunch of breaks before, but if I take the break before 4 hours, I think it is, it won't count toward, there it is, the 8 hours. I got 11 hours in a 24-hour period that I could drive, and I got a 14-hour work day and 70 hours that I could work within an 8-day period. Yeah, we're logged. Now, when I started, we didn't have that. We didn't have the electronic log. What we had were paper logs. So you would make a notation on the paper log, and on the paper log, you would have to put down the name of the company, the terminal you're starting from, how many hours you had at the start of your day, or if you already accumulated hours, how many hours you had remaining. There was more flexibility there than with these electronic logs. These electronic logs, to me, as far as I'm concerned, the logs in general are, I want to say unnecessary. I want to say that. I want to say it's unnecessary. Now, when you work for a company, like the local company that I was working for, it was probably important that you did have hours of services regulations, because they will work you to the bone. They will work you. I think the only deterrent that these companies have is litigation in court and losing a bunch of lawsuits as a result of accidents. It's about the only deterrent. If not for that, however, the you saw the number of hours I had, right? Drive hours, 11 hours. Right now, for example, my sleeping pattern is off, way off. So I can get sleepy in the next hour or so. If I do get sleepy within the next hour, I don't know just how long my body will tell me I have to stay sleeping. I have a delivery I have to make, and I have to be there. Well, the appointment time is for 4 a.m. But because this is a this is a food item, these food warehouses, they're very strict with their appointments. In some cases, they don't want you on that facility 2 hours prior to your appointment. And if you're 1 minute late, they will charge you a fine and reschedule your appointment. What does that mean? Let's say I got a 4 a.m. appointment. I arrive at 3:30, but there's a list of trucks ahead of me, and something causes a delay. I'm at the the guard shack. Typically, there's a guard shack that you have to report to first, and then they either get on their computers or they make a phone call to the warehouse to notify them with the appointment number that you have arrived, and you get the okay to go in. You get instructions. However, even if I arrived at 3:30, if I'm not at that window by 4, that's considered late. If I'm at window at 1 minute after 4, even though I arrived at the facility at 3:30, I am late, and they may not accept the load at the time. Because it's a refrigerated load, I have to make sure that the trailer is fueled in order for me to maintain the temperature that they require. If I'm 1 minute late and I'm rescheduled, there's a good chance that I'll be rescheduled for the following day. So I got to be on top of that load with the refrigeration, with the fuel. Also, that's a day that I lose where I can get another load. So I guess you can classify that as a loss. By the way, Tara, can you hear me okay? I'm not even sure if you can hear me. Is there a lot of noise in the background? What's going on with my audio? You'll hear that sometimes on the radio, on the CB radio, when a driver checks in. They'll get on their mic and start audio, and then they get a response from the other drivers. Okay, excellent. They'll get a response from other drivers nearby that have their radio, and they'll chime in and say, "Yeah, you're 5x5," or whatever it is that they want to know your location. What's your 20? You let them know I'm on this highway, that highway, northbound, southbound, by exit such and such, by mile marker such and such, and they let each other know if there's something coming up ahead of them, like if there's somebody going southbound when I'm going northbound, I can notify the guys going southbound through the CB radio, which I don't have, but they can notify them through the southbound radio in real time if there's some kind of hazard ahead of the game for that southbound driver. So going back to the facility that I was working out of, an hour and a half, so basically 3 hours of back and forth toward the warehouse and to my house. Back then, like you saw here, we had a 14-hour shift. They were 16-hour shifts back then. And they would work you the full 16. So I had 8 hours remaining. You subtract 3 hours out of those 8 hours. I had 5 hours to do whatever I had to do when I got home. Shit, shower, shave, participate with the family for a couple of minutes until I fell asleep. And then we wouldn't have days off together. We would have split days. So I might have Wednesday and Saturday off, Tuesday and Friday off, or something like that. So you never really rested. And that's something I discovered being a local driver. CNS Wholesale Grocer, it's in the name. grocer. You were delivering to supermarket chains, and I was working in the New York City area, New York City, northern New Jersey, Baltimore, Philadelphia, uh, Lancaster, Pennsylvania, York, Pennsylvania, Long Island. A lot of tight spots, a lot of traffic, and it was tiring. It was tiring. So when I got home, I was exhausted. That was working local, but I was appreciative of the fact that at least my family can look at me while I'm sleeping. As much interaction, except on my days off, and even on my days off, I had stuff to do. But I noticed that it's true that this industry is not for everyone. You gotta, and okay, I mean, I'm guilty of being a cowboy out there. My first maybe 6 or 7 years. What I mean by that is that I was driving at high rates of speeds over the speed limit. I was taking risks, taking risks, and there's got to be a point in time when you realize that. And I'll tell you, I've been fortunate because no accidents, no accidents, not even in the yellow cab, not in the yellow cab, not in the truck, no accidents. Those are a lot of years of driving without an accident. That's something I guess to be proud of. There aren't many drivers that have that type of record where they haven't had an accident while driving for that many years and in the locations that I was driving in. So I guess I can pat myself on the back. But you have people that just don't learn. I think what helped was that I was business oriented. So it wasn't for me, it wasn't just a job. I wanted to learn more about the job. I wanted to learn how everything operated, how everything ticked, how the money flowed, what the expenses were. And I think that helped a lot. It helped me mature in the industry. There were some that, well, there've been a handful of ex-military that get in this industry. They're more responsible. They do well, more than likely, and you can say if this is true or not, Tara, that the environment that the military provides is one of accountability. Yeah, you get it twisted. So I think from the right out the gate, they came in with um, they came in with tools that I didn't have. 'Cause I was never in the military. Oh, okay, yeah. So I didn't have that. Like I said, I'm surrounded by family members that are in the military, but I never. I did some paramilitary training. That was long after that. But I did. I didn't join the military, so I didn't have that. I didn't have that structure. I was an idealist. You know? which is something worth talking about. Being an idealist, but I, I didn't I didn't really appreciate those ex-military personnel working at the trucking company the way they operated. Yeah, I admit it. I'm not, I try to be honest with myself and with everybody I can. I try my best. Being honest with yourself is extremely hard, especially when you're mature, right? Because I am matured I matured just recently. I mean, I was an idealist and I knew better than everybody else. I knew better, but I'm I have to be I have to express my gratitude for everyone in my life that exercised patience and taught me. Yeah, they needed a lot of patience. They needed a lot of patience. A lot of patience. I had a smart mouth. I had a smart mouth, and I was argumentative. But but the people that helped emotionally, they were extremely patient. I'm very grateful for that. They put up with a lot of nonsense. A lot of nonsense. But after I did mature, which was yesterday, I matured yesterday. I started to put all the pieces together. Yeah, see, let me tell you, it was my mother that saved me from getting absolutely destroyed by my father. It was my father. And then my brother, when he got back from boot camp, that dude was all over me, all over me. My cousins who were in the military, I didn't really look to hang out with them. My brother was a nightmare. Okay, he got back, especially when he got back from the Gulf, because he participated in the Gulf War. He came back and he didn't get PTSD from the war. He already had it before. My brother was an absolute mess. Okay, absolute mess. My older brother. I think from a previous video, you guys already know that I got tons of brothers that died. One was murdered in the streets, so about 8 of them died of illness. No, he's not okay. He's far from okay. Far from okay. No, he's not okay. He, how should I say it? I, he's a physician, and he's he's physically capable. He is, how should I say it? He's he's above average. He's above average. And he had the trauma of the beatings that he got from my father. My father almost killed him. Put him in a burlap sack and beat him down with this wood. He was in intensive care. No, he's well. Which are you referring to? Uh, no, he's yeah. I don't know which spectrum. Is he like what do you call that? Asperger? No, he's just crazy burger. Listen, my brother, my older brother, since he was young, he was no, he's not even socially awkward. That's the crazy part. This guy, this I'll put it to you this way. Yeah, he's crazy burger. No, he didn't have any of that. He uh, he's got he's got everything, and I mean everything that women want in a man. Everything. Yeah, he's something else. Um, he's brilliant. He was captain of the football team in high school, captain of the baseball team, captain of the gymnastics team, scored amongst the highest academically in his high school. He was he was a pitcher for the Yankees minor league team, and he suffered an accident on the pitcher's mound, and that's why he didn't continue on to the pros. He got hit in the face with a line drive on the pitcher's mound, suffered a detached retina, and went into a coma. My mom was done with that, so he became a doctor. Him and his wife became doctors. He was he's not practicing now. He was a urologist. His wife's a pediatrician. But no, my brother was an amazing dancer. He was a black belt. He was an amazing dancer. He was a ladies' man. I mean, oh my God, this dude, this dude was. Listen, you couldn't leave your wife alone with that dude around. Couldn't. That dude was something else. He's he's old, so it's not the same now. Uh, but yeah, when he got home from yeah, he did. He did. Listen, listen. This dude was no, mm-mm, no. Stay away. Stay away. Yeah, he was out there like that. He was. I mean, listen. I guess when you got it like that, he's pursued. I don't know what else to say. I don't know what else to say. But yeah, when he got home, he used to torture me. I mean, physically and psychologically torture me. Man, I used to want to just give him one right in the jaw. To my detriment, though, he dislocated my jaw one time, kicked me right upside the head. I'm in the shower one day, nice hot shower. It's the winter, nice hot shower, feeling beautiful in there. He poured a bucket of freezing cold on me. shower. I mean, that's yeah, he's still alive. He's still alive. Poured a bucket of ice cold water on me while I was in that hot shower during the winter, man. I want to jump out of there and just choke a turkey out his ass. I was mad about it, but that was his MO though. That was his MO. He used to torture me, but uh, nobody could mess with me though, because he was the only one that was allowed to mess with me, basically, or other family members. If you're an outsider, uh, he ain't letting that go down. But that discipline, that what is that that accountability that military people get, that was a plus. Now, one thing though, I noticed that unless you go into the rank of officer, anybody below officer, every military person that I've spoken to that didn't go into officer status, and I'm well, in my family, um, I have members of my family that started out enlisted and then became officers, and the mindset is different. I don't know if I'm talking out of my butt right now, but uh, anyone who did not go into the rank of officer, I think they create their own glass ceiling. It's like they always come up with some kind of excuse or justification why not to think outside the box. I don't know. That's what I that's what I remember when I engage with people. Typically, when I come across somebody who's been, oh, okay, okay, uh, I forget what term they use for one of my nephews who enlisted and then no, now he's a colonel now. So I don't know what to call that. I had asked you that I think one time, but yeah, he's a colonel now. And he started out. He went fresh out of high school. Oh, that's interesting. Could only go into the academy in Annapolis, Maryland, straight out of high school. Okay. Yeah, he's in the Marine Corps. He's in the Marine Corps. He he had an easy time in boot camp because of his mom. His mom was, wow, my sister, total tyrant. Yeah, that's right. They do fall into the Department of Navy. Yeah, yeah. He's been on many ships. He's been in many conflicts, many conflicts. Afghanistan, Iran, Iraq, not Iran. What am I saying? Iraq and Afghanistan. Yeah, my sister's a total tyrant. My sister is a feminine version of my father. She is not to be played with. I've had Maybe this is what made me a good halfback when I played football. The fact that I was able to dodge all the um, all the time she would throw a cast iron saucepan at me. Oof. Yeah, she was hardcore. She was not. She said something. Don't try to engage and argue with her. She would slap the melanin right off your skin. Wherever she slapped you, yeah, you would lose the melanin there. Yeah, she was no, she was not that. No, she wasn't trying to hear nothing. She was smoking. Yeah, she went to the Marine Corps. He had an easy time going into boot camp. And this is we're talking about the late '80s. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, those drill instructors back then were still. I think they could still lay hands on you, maybe. I don't know. I'm not sure. Like I said, I wasn't in the military. Yeah, 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 yeah. Uh, well, one thing. Well, my dad was. There was a. There was one day, knowing. Look, that sister that I'm talking about, my dad knocked her tooth out, punched her right in the mouth, knocked her tooth right out. Okay, you know why? Because when she was sent to the store on her way back, she stopped to talk to some of her little friends. He knocked her tooth out, lifted her up off the ground with that punch that he gave her. Yeah, that was my dad, and so yeah, my dad was not. Yeah, he put my brother in a burlap sack and almost killed him. He was in intensive care. My mother, my mother gave birth to me, and not long after, she had to take a flight over back to the Dominican Republic and go tend to my brother in the hospital. He was in intensive care. Yeah, my dad didn't. No, my dad was not that type. His family's like that too. All of them, every one of them. Yeah, they. Yeah, you got something slick to say? Okay, got something for you. I remember one time he accused me of something, and I don't know what I said back to him. He didn't appreciate the way I said it. I ran. We were living in a building in the Bronx, and he was the superintendent. And the apartment, you can exit the apartment and work your way in the under part of the building, which I did. I ran. When I heard him mother after me, I said, "It's time to go." I was gone. I ran inside the basement of the building. He chased after me, and he threw something at me just as I turned to take this exit, and I heard the object. It sounded like bacon was sizzling. That's how hard he threw it, and it hit the refrigerator that I made that turn on. Later on, I came back and I saw a dent in the refrigerator. He threw some heavy metal object at me, right at my head. Yeah, your maternal grandfather, what? Maternal great grandfather shot at his kids and didn't obey him. Yeah, my granny was his only daughter, but he never touched her. Oh, see, my dad didn't care. My dad did not care about gender. He did not care. Yeah, to alive. They survived the death dog. Yeah, but he don't care about gender. Female, male, you're getting it. Don't matter. And and so there was one morning at the kitchen table. I was in junior high school at the time, and my father didn't like the American culture. No, he never apologized. My dad does not apologize for anything. As far as he's concerned, if he got upset, it's because you took him there, because you know the rules. So if you got him there, you got what you had coming. He would warn you in advance. Listen, I don't want you doing this. The unfortunate thing is that sometimes he would accuse you without verifying. It would be a wrap. Yeah, it would be a wrap. But this one time at the breakfast table, he was eating. Yeah, ain't that crazy? He fled the DR for America and hated American culture. No, it wasn't about missing being at home. My dad had to flee, right? You remember why? Because the president, Balaguer, uh, was going to assassinate him. Because uh, my father, what do you call it? He was plotting to overthrow him. So he had to go. And the United States was the best place he could go because I was born in the United States. So that made it a lot easier for him to escape. So they wound up in Washington Heights back in 1968. Yeah. So my dad, he's eating breakfast and he stops. He's staring me down. I don't know what that was all about. I don't know what I did. If I did something. So I kept looking at my plate, eating my breakfast, acting like I didn't know what was going on. So the moment came and he says to me, you know what? I don't raise parasites. If I discover that you're leaning on somebody, leaning on some family, I'm taking you out of this world. And as serious as I just looked right now, that's how serious he was when he looked at me. Yeah, I don't raise parasites, he said. That's exactly what he said. This business about going to family, friends, begging for stuff, asking for stuff, no, not on his watch. And he said, yeah, I will take you out. Oh, my audio's going crazy. How about now? Is that better? No? No? Audio? Okay, let me do something. How's this? Is this better? For help years ago, and once she left my mom, went on from ooh. Uh, Listen, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, no, but my dad wasn't. Listen, did I go ask for something from somebody? Hell no. He said, listen, I'm gonna take you out of this world. I'm gonna take you out of this world. If I discover that you're a parasite leeching off of people, nah. See, back in Dominican Republic, um, government didn't intervene with how you raise your children. That included unaliving them. They didn't interfere. In fact, back then, if you didn't handle your business with your kids, you could very well wind up getting locked up and tortured, maybe even unalive too. Yeah, the DR was under the dictator Trujillo was not the place. So that's why, see that's the type of environment that my family was raised under. So to deal with the liberals here in the United States, that my dad wasn't down with that. My dad wasn't down with that. My dad was he was a far right Christian conservative. He wasn't trying to hear none. Listen, no. Welfare? What? Oh hell no. He wasn't taking welfare. He wasn't accepting that any one of us. You took welfare. You were out of his house. You're gone. Get out. I don't want you here. Get out. No. But that's crazy. You're asking your grandmother for help, and your mom just flipped, lost it. What was that all about though? Was your mom like my dad or something? Was she like against? Did she think about that? Because I think family should help family, but we need to define what help is, though, right? We need to define what help is, because to me, and I hope the audio is okay, but to me, help is it's not a handout. Help is not a handout. No, help is pointing in a certain direction. Help is giving certain instructions, not not a handout. At least, even to me, no, no handouts. I'll work it. If I don't know how, show me how. I'll do it. If I don't know what work to do, tell me. I'll do it. But a handout. My dad sees you taking a handout. Oh, okay. Talk to my talk to my mom. Say, listen, uh, if he stays, you got to call the funeral home because it's a wrap. Oh, well, that sister that lost her tooth for my dad, when we came to the United States, she went to a party. We were living in the Bronx at the time. Was it the Bronx? No, it was Washington Heights. I think it was Washington. Yeah, because she wasn't around when I don't remember her being around when we moved to the Bronx. So she went to a party, and the hostess told her, "Please don't leave not at this hour. The streets are dangerous. I don't want anything to happen to you. Stay over. You'll be safer that way." Mm. Now with my dad, you weren't safe. Uh, had my mom pack her stuff up. She was out the house. He didn't. We didn't know anybody. He kicked her out. Gone. No, she ain't coming back. And boy, did she struggle. Yes, he was. Yes, he was. He was hardcore. No lie. That man did not. It was a different experience. Growing up in the city, in the ghetto, with parents like that, I was like the oddball in the hood. It was, and my dad got into a lot of scuffles with a lot of people in the hood because he just wasn't down with that. None of that. He wasn't down. My dad was dressing in a suit. He was superintendent of buildings, and he would dress in a suit and tie to go do whatever work he had to do, whether it was plumbing, electrical, whatever it was. He would always appear in a suit and tie. My dad would be in the street scrapping in a suit and tie. That's what he was about. And he did not like this liberal stuff that was going on around him. He didn't like that. He was raised in the country. He was raised by a Catholic priest and his grandfather. Man, listen, that dude. Yeah, no. He used to get mad. He used to get mad at my sense of humor because I adopted the American way of life. So I had like this humor that he didn't really appreciate. He would warn me every now and then. He would just look at me and say, "Is that supposed to be funny? Huh?" Okay, Dad. Oh, he was hardcore, but I'll tell you what. And this is why I say it's not I don't think ass whoopings are anywhere near as bad as psychological damage. I don't think it. He might have. He had a hard youth. My dad had a hard youth. Because his mother, my grandmother, oh my God. She was terrible. I think a junkyard dog would, in her presence, would just run out squealing. She was my father's request upon passing was that under no circumstance he be buried anywhere near his mother. What? Yeah, he's buried with his grandmother from his mother's side. He wanted nothing to do with his mother. My grandmother she was a loan shark, and she was mean, super mean. And she had the kids to take care of whatever she needed to take care of whenever anybody didn't pay. My uncles were, oh my goodness. My uncles were terrible. Yeah. Yeah, no, listen, when my father got the news that she died, he didn't shed not one tear. He went on about his business like everything was all good. Remember, she got hacked by his brother. His brother hacked her, delivered 63 blows with a machete. And when my father got the news, he was like, "Oh, I'm busy. I got things to do. See you later." He wasn't. Listen, my grandmother was, what? Nah, hell no. She was doing witchcraft to have so we can die. Yeah, her grandchildren. She hated my mother.
Yeah, 63 blows. 63 blows. Yeah. Uncle went up in there. It wasn't meant for her, but it's not like he shed a tear for that either. It wasn't meant for her. It was meant for his niece, my cousin, not his daughter, his niece, because she was acting the fool. She was living with my grandmother and she was acting the fool. He warned her. He said, listen, you better stop, because if you don't stop, I'm coming in. I'm taking you out. He missed her, got his mom. Father mentioned that his grandmother used to cast spells as well as, and that she scared him as a child. Yes. Yeah. These people transform while they're doing spells. They don't even look like themselves when they're doing all that witchcraft stuff. And there was a lot of that. Oh. A cave in seriously? That's what this looks like, a cave in Afghanistan. Yeah. That yeah. There's a lot of witchcraft in the part of the Dominican Republic that my family's from. We're very close to Haiti. So Haiti does their voodoo, and we do that stuff too. Not me personally. I've never been into that, but yeah, with all those little powders, those funky little powders they used to put in your drink and rub your feet with some crazy concoction. Yeah, and there was some. No, I don't mess with that stuff either. I don't listen. There are people that have witnessed some real funky stuff. Witnessed, okay, like stuff like at my cousin's house, where now if there's an earthquake, stuff falls, right? Like if you got a china with plates and glasses and maybe some utensils and whatnot, if there's an earthquake, things are going to get shaken around and things are going to fall. But stuff wasn't falling. These doors from the china opened and stuff was flying across the room. Across the room. And I'm not talking about 1 or 2 feet. Okay. I'm talking about a good 10 feet across. So I don't listen. I don't engage in any of that stuff. But yeah, no, I don't. But definitely grandma was wicked. My dad was hardcore. His brothers, no, they were hardcore. I have a I had a cousin. He passed away. This guy, my grandmother absolutely loved him because she used to utilize him. She used to utilize him, probably to go get payment. This cousin of mine was abnormally and unusually strong. It wasn't normal. He wasn't normal at all. This guy can, he would grab an oil barrel full of oil. He would just grab it, toss it on his shoulder, and walk off with the damn thing. His weight set was truck parts, a truck axle with the rims and all that. My friend who's visiting right now from Spain, he took a ride with him while his wife was cooking for him. And at that moment, and at that time, he was on a diet. A diet. So he cut back substantially on what he was eating because it was too much. So he he took a little motorcycle ride with my friend, and in that motorcycle ride, he ate 3 pounds of cheese, the entire roll of salami, 12 melons, a small bottle of rum, and then arrived at his house, and his wife served them in one of those white industrial buckets. I don't know how many gallons that is. But she filled it all the way to the top with food. And he tore that thing up. And that was the diet. Yeah, 3 pounds of cheese. 3 pounds of cheese, 12 melons, the entire salami, the rum, and that bucket, that white industrial bucket, filled to the top with food. And that was him cutting back. This dude, yeah, this cop told me what happened to him because he got locked up. Well, he was in the police station. He was being held. He was being detained in the police station. If anybody else would have told me this story, I wouldn't have believed it. It was just too far-fetched. But I think that was the incident with one of his sisters. She pissed him off. This dude, he ran after her to kill her. She was dating a captain, a police captain. So he wound up getting detained. Well, he was in a holding cell with 20 other guys. Again, had anybody else told me this thing, I wouldn't have believed it. I would have thought it was an exaggeration. It was bogus. It was nonsense. It was a cop. The cop told me, listen, that's your cousin? I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell you what happened. That dude was in there, and yeah, it was all eyes on him. So the first dude stepped to him and punched him in his face. And your cousin punched him right back and put him to sleep immediately. And then the other dudes that were about to jump in, he grabbed the dude that he knocked out, grabbed him by his ankles, and used him as a bat and started beating down the dudes while using this dude as a bat. What? The dude was excessively strong. Raymond, rest in peace. He was excessively strong. He was out of control. Yeah. Crazy. Where did Too Black, Too Strong go? Yeah. So the family had some issues. Yeah. The family had some issues. But like I said, when my father arrived here in the United States, he didn't appreciate the liberalism that there was here. He didn't like that at all. He wasn't used to that. Dominican Republic under Trujillo, the dictator, that was a different place. He had snitches everywhere. And there were a couple of things that can get you in trouble instantly, immediately. One of them is if by chance a neighbor knocked on your door, you opened the door, they looked inside your place and didn't see a picture of Trujillo on the wall with a sign that said, in this house, Trujillo's the boss. You were going to jail. You were going to get tortured. They used to have an electric chair specifically for torturing. They would have these clips that they would attach to your testicles and shock you through your testicles, torture you, just for that. Another thing that would get you in some serious, well, two more things that would get you into serious trouble. Another one, for missing a picture. Yeah, for not having that picture. You were accused of being against the government, not acknowledging Trujillo. Yeah. Another thing that would happen is if you would talk about yourself in such a way like you were putting yourself as Trujillo's equal, or not acknowledging that Trujillo was the man, that'll get you locked up too and tortured. Yeah. Being accused of being a communist, that'll get you unalived. Yeah. And whenever a soldier or a cop wanted to get promoted quickly, he would find himself a 14 or 15-year-old girl and present her to Trujillo so he can eat it up. That'll get you promoted, because Trujillo was down with that. If Trujillo was driving, or he was being driven down the street, and he saw a young girl and he thought she was cute, he would send somebody over to the house. The parents would know exactly what these people were there for and what they wanted. They know exactly what they wanted. You protest if you want to. Yeah. CIA took care of that. Trujillo was cool as far as the United States was concerned, provided that American corporations like, what was that called? The American Fruit Company. They can access the land and produce and not have to pay anything. He was cool. He was the best guy in the world. They didn't care how many people he killed. He killed something like 32,000 Haitians just because. Wrong color. See you later. Yeah, it was. And in the Dominican Republic with the sugar and the fruits. Yep. You were given two choices. You either went to school, you either went to college after you graduate high school, or he give you a plot of land and you work it. Yeah. It was an improvement for a lot of people on the island because it was so unstable for so long. So Trujillo brought some stability, but at a heavy cost. There's a famous story of a doctor. He used to charge the wealthy enough so that he can treat the poor. And he was giving a speech, and some captain from the police department was either jealous of him or something. I'm not clear. My memory's not clear on what it was, but he went and reported him to Trujillo, claiming that this guy was putting himself above Trujillo because everybody was praising him. What a great person he is to the community and all this other stuff. But, well, he was locked up, tortured for years. And this is a male-dominated society, so his wife had to go seek work for her 2 daughters while he was locked up and being tortured. Well, she worked to exhaustion, to the point where when he was finally released, when this doctor was finally released, her body was worn to the point where she passed away. Well, it turns out that this wealthy person wanted to be in Trujillo's good graces, and he went and got that doctor's daughter, one of his daughters, and brought her over to an event that Trujillo was having. She was so amazed that she was in the presence of Trujillo that she froze. And while Trujillo's trying to rap to her, kick it to her, she's frozen. She can't respond. Well, because of that wealthy person that brought her over, because Trujillo felt humiliated by that, he took everything that wealthy person owned. Everything. Yeah, they did. They ruined that man's life, and for what? For nothing. That's one of the prices that was paid. Yeah, the country was stable. Yeah, the Dominican peso was actually higher than the American dollar by, I think the highest one was like 2 pennies. It was over the American dollar by 2 pennies. So Trujillo's big mistake was that he figured that, okay, we paid your debt, so we no longer have a debt to the United States. How about the Dominicans reap the benefits of our own resources? Because it was actually for him, but you know how they did it. And the United States government was like, what are you talking about, man? It's because customs was operated by the United States. Everything that came into the customs that were charged through customs, the United States took that and then some. So, he was saying, hey, man, I mean, our debts are paid to you. How about we, U.S. was like, what? Oh, we can't hear you, Trujillo. What are you talking about? No, what? No. Chill, Trujillo. Chill. Trujillo pushed the issue, and they started launching a campaign to discredit him. So the newspaper was cranking out. The newspapers were out of the United States were cranking out all sorts of negative stuff against Trujillo, and now Trujillo's a bad guy. We don't like him no more. He wants to reap the benefits of his own resources. What, are you crazy, bro? No. We don't care that you paid your debt. Hey, that's how it is. So the day came. He was on his way to San Cristobal from the capital, a trip that he always made at the same time, every time, same days. So it was very easy to set him up, and that's what it was. And then he got taken out. His son took over. His son couldn't handle the situation because, there were a lot of angry people. And that last name Trujillo, it was not welcome anymore. So he got the drift. So he grabbed tons of money, took his family, went over to Spain. Trujillo, from what I understand, Trujillo is buried in Spain because he was buddies with Franco from Spain. They were chill, they were homies. You know how dictators roll. uh, there was some election where they had Juan Bosch. But Juan Bosch wasn't very liked by the business community because Juan Bosch was a socialist. And they already had Fidel next door. And the American government wasn't feeling that. So, they kind of helped out the business community and said, well, yeah, this guy got to go. This guy got to go. So Juan Bosch was smart enough to leave before they took him out. And then came another election. The Marine Corps went in there, of course, to make sure everything was copacetic. And this time they voted for a man that my father helped out that he used to work with, which was Balaguer, the same man that my dad plotted against. Such is life. I think I'm going to end it right here. Yeah, I kind of deviated from the trucking, kind of, sort of. Yeah, I did. That's okay. I'll get back on it. Tara, thank you. And I've been looking into that dude, Eddie Brown. I've been looking into him. Not quite what Killer Earl and Killer Ron went through. Not quite. But definitely an excuse killer. And I'm going to tap on that guy, Mr. Eddie Brown. I might have worked for his company. I'm not sure. I'll find out. Anyway, yeah, thank you, Tara. Yes, everybody, Tara Helms, the professor. Okay. You can always find the links to both her channels. You have the Evergreen Wave and you have Tara Helms. And both the links to her channels are always in the description. You can always find it. Very provocative content, thought-provoking. And also, Curtis York is always on there also as well. So thanks again. Thanks, Tara. Thanks again. And I'll catch up with you guys. If I do a live, it'll probably be next Saturday or something like that. I'll try to make it consistent, right? Discipline and consistency. Here we go. Thanks. Take care.